So, okay, before we talk about anything else, I am heated today, Kevin.
Yeah, tell me.
Kevin, what are we doing in this sport that you and I love? Like, okay, for everybody at home who does not understand the tone of my voice, I will give you some background right now. Brandon Sorsby, the transfer quarterback from Cincinnati, who was poised to be the starting quarterback at Texas Tech this coming season, came out that in his past at Indiana, he had gambled as much as $90,000 on his own team as a freshman. Now, okay, that's bad. But however, a judge in Texas just ruled in his favor on an injunction that would allow him to play next season.
Hey,
Like,
the system worked. System worked.
no, no, okay. I know you're doing a shtick right now, Kev, but I gotta go off. Like, what are we doing here? What are we actually doing here? I was thinking to myself, it wasn't 10 years ago that guys would get fines out the ass just for getting somebody to buy them a lunch. Now we've overcorrected so far in the other direction that we're allowing players to gamble and then play. And I know all these people in the comments are going to come after me and say things like, oh, dude, you don't know what you're talking about. They're going to overturn it. You know what I say to that? Doesn't matter. The precedent has now been set. The domino has been overturned by a judge that a professional athlete can gamble on a sport and face not that bad of a consequence. This is terrible. And you know what? Props to some programs that probably, these two programs in Georgia and Nebraska, that probably won't ever play. Shut up, Kevin. That probably won't actually like have any intended consequences because they're not going to be playing Texas Tech cakewalk schedule, by the way. And the other thing I got to say, I got to take a step back here. What about all the other players before who didn't even get paid a nickel, who got in trouble? There was a kid at Iowa State who was a wrestler who had got banned from the entire season for gambling one time for $15. That guy should sue. So I've been listening to everybody and their brother talk about this for the last few days. I've been listening to McAfee, Florio, Josh Pate. I even listened to Paul Feinbaum talk about this, a
Ooh,
guy I genuinely hate. But we're all in the same picture here. And
Paul,
Kev, wait,
Paul.
you know what? Kev, I gotta catch my breath. What do you got?
All right. Yeah. Look, it's not great, but here is what I'm going to open with my opening argument in defense. All right.
Yes.
I got a few points. Here's my first point. You can throw all this anger, you can pin it all on Brendan Sorsby and Texas Tech, but the truth is, we have a much deeper rooted issue in our society with gambling. You know the South Park episode with the drinking where they're like, "You
Right.
drinking,
Well,
drink
no,
this beer, drink, drink, drink,
that
drink,
great
please drink
episode, great
responsibly."
episode. I think, but they actually did an episode on Polymarket. You know that, right?
Yeah, yeah, more
Okay.
more recent. I'm more of a like 10 season 10 to 18 guy, but
Glory days.
look, for this, it's kind of you can't have your cake and eat it too. The NCAA, ever since they are no longer allowed to use slave labor for their athletes, now they are supplementing a lot of that lost income with revenue from gambling partnerships. Okay,
Oh,
we have. I'm still going. I'm still going.
fine.
So
Okay.
we have essentially infected the whole country with gambling. But that's a subtone of our show is sports gambling, you know? And there is a dark side to it. There's just like it is with drinking, there's people who take it too far. I'm sure there's a lot of other Brendan Sorsbys who haven't been caught yet across the NCAA. But here's my
Okay.
closing point to my first argument. If you're
Oh,
not BYU, if you're not BYU, you can shut up because Oklahoma State, Iowa State, God, I thought I could rattle off a few more Big 12 schools off the top of my head. I'm gonna keep going. Utah, uh,
you're just
Nebraska,
making stuff
no,
up. Oh,
unfortunately. Anyway, but
wow.
unless you're BYU, who I'm pretty sure BYU has a kind of they do not do business partnerships with gambling companies,
That
you don't
tracks.
really
I don't
have
know
a
if that's
leg to
true, but that
stand on.
tracks.
How can you be Arizona State and I'm
What?
just going to ballpark. Arizona State probably gets between $1 and $5 million a year from gambling partnerships, whether or not directly or certainly from like kickbacks through their Big 12 membership and NCAA membership.
Uh,
You don't really get to stand up on a pedestal and throw this. How old's Brendan Sorsby?
he's
21?
21, I
21? I mean,
think.
you remember when you were 21, you were pretty dumb.
No, I don't. I don't remember that year at all.
True. Yeah. But that I think that is kind of my argument that people are rightfully upset about this, but I don't think you can pin the whole thing on Texas Tech and Brendan Sorsby. Sure, they've handled it poorly, but they're just operating within the flawed system. I guess that's kind of my overall point.
Okay, now here's what I'm going to say to that. You mentioned alcohol, right? If somebody is main defense when they're after they're being caught being an alcoholic, is the next step to be like, oh yeah, that's good for him to get like recovery and get help. Now let's go put him behind the bar.
Mm, true. Yeah. Mm,
Because
yeah.
that's no, and Kev, I'm going to take a step back again because the whole lame excuse or no defense was that it would be bad for his mental health if he wasn't able to experience being on the team again. And look, Kev, you and I were both youngins when this happened, but when the whole referee scandal in the NBA broke, that still has like been a lasting impact on like some fans not thinking that the NBA is done with the most integrity. Okay, so that broke the sport. And in a time when college football, we are currently in the Senate trying to define what the salary caps are. I just burped. I don't know if you heard that. What the salary caps are for these guys, and we're still trying to figure out a system that's so broken. Yeah, I get it. Gambling is everywhere. There's Polymarket, there's Kalshi. You can gamble on whether or not I'm gonna go to bed tonight. I don't know. I just made that up off the top of my head. That was stupid. But no, so I get that gambling is everywhere, but the things that we gamble on should not be. It's almost like, a Rick and Morty episode where it's pointing back at the thing that it's being, recorded on. I don't know. I'm going off on a rant.
Arizona, UCF, TCU, West Virginia. Okay, I got some more Big 12 schools there rattled off the dome. Now, let me get to my second point here, which is why do the other schools necessarily care? It's different than when refs are betting on sports. It is what is Brendan Sorsby gonna do? He's gonna either
He's
gamble
going
on
to play
Texas
a
Tech to
team.
win.
He's going to potentially throw the game, and then he's going to also affect the records of those other schools and taint their records.
Well, so if he potentially throws the game, then that's just a free win. Why would you be
Because
against
then
that?
there's it's an asterisk next to the season for everybody they played.
Yeah, I mean, hey,
And it
if he
also just
starts
affects
playing
the
and Texas Tech starts tanking, then I think there's something to be said there. But I don't. I think the risk is on Texas Tech here. If
Sure.
the real if the real like concern is that he might start tanking, it's going to ultimately be them that lose games. I mean, I guess in college football, that is one nice thing that we don't have to deal with is purposeful tanking. But across the NBA, across the NFL, people tank, and yeah, it sucks because it ruins the integrity of the overall league records.
Yeah.
But like we just kind of come to accept it. And this is one school, one player who may or may not be betting on his team to lose. If he bets on his team to
Sure.
win, who the hell cares?
Okay. I-
I
Look,
think you should be allowed to bet
I'm
on your
never
team
gonna
to win.
agree with you that the guys playing the game should be able to bet on it. And we'll let
Yeah.
you know what, everybody comment on which one of our sides you're on because we're not going to see eye to eye on this. But before I move on, I got three big losers of this. Okay, Will Hammond, the backup QB, big time loser. Brett Yormark, commissioner of the Big 12. I feel like it's inevitable that he's going to have to do something about this. Number 3, the writing cast for Landman. Yeah. Okay.
What about Patrick Mahomes? You think Daddy
No,
Mahomes
because he was
affect this
Texas
stuff?
Tech pre-oil money.
Oh, true. Okay.
Yeah.